Hello everyone, Mike Zodia here, and welcome to Lesson 3 of the Mage Guide series. In this episode, the description will not only contain the topics covered, but some reference material that you can copy and take with you. Our first topic of discussion is creating your first mage. I will cover everything you need to do from the moment you load the game at desktop until you can play your mage. We will also follow all good habits to ensure your game runs smoothly. However, we will not be discussing build advice or leveling strategies in this lesson. This is simply step-by-step instructions to create your character with no issues. This tutorial will start at the time of hitting the run button on the mod manager. If you need assistance with profile settings and mod related issues, please consult with the Discord as that information is out of scope of this video. When you first hit the run button, the game will prompt you to log into Steam if you haven't already, and then begin loading Lorerim. You'll be shown a splash image, as well as given a prompt to say is unlock. Do not, and I emphasize this, do not hit the unlock button. Doing so will force the game to launch immediately and will cause undesirable effects, such as your characters having no eyes or torso. Instead, wait patiently as the game boots up and brings you to the main screen. On the main menu, you will select New Game and be sent to your character creation screen. For questions related to picking your race, please consult previous lessons. After you have chosen your race and customized it, you can press R to confirm and name your character. Once named, you will be standing in the spawn hub with a statue of Mara a short distance away. During this time, you will notice a lot of content being loaded on the top left of your screen. It is highly advised you wait patiently and allow all this content to load prior to leaving the spawn area. Since you are waiting for mods to load in, you may as well initiate the loading process for Requiem as well to save time. To install Requiem, open and close your inventory, which is the letter I by default. While you are waiting for mods to load, you may be tempted to run around the prison cell due to excitement or boredom. If you do this, I highly advise you do not make too much noise near the doorway. This is because one of the optional starting locations for this mod list is this very prison cell you are in. There are hostile enemies nearby that will be alerted to your location, and they will kindly escort you to their respawn in a Whiterun.
I sense a presence. I sense a presence. Death comes for you now.
Once all the mod and Requiem have loaded, it is time to begin your story by selecting your spawn location. While the choice is ultimately yours to make and experiment with, the following 4 locations are recommended by me as safe choices. For those who want a start similar to vanilla Skyrim, choose Camping in the Woods. The campsite is actually just outside the cave near Helgen Ruins. You can simply enter the cave and begin the quest to reach Riverwood with your starting ally. If you choose to start, I highly advise grabbing at least 1 healing potion from the token shop, which we will discuss shortly. If you wish to have an easier start in Lorerim without removing any of its challenges, I would select the Own a Property in one of the holds option. This choice will let you own one of the many homes completely for free. Many of these homes not only have crafting facilities, but also free starting gold. You can choose modest dwellings such as the Breeze Home, or some of the most expensive properties like Prowspire Manor. If you want to jump right into your mage life, you can select the new member of a guild option to immediately spawn at the College of Winterhold. The college contains many free mage-related items for you to use. This includes starter mage gears, spell tomes, a place to sleep and store valuables, and 2 free spell vouchers that can give you a jump start in any field of magic. Be advised that these free items are available to anyone who joins the college, not just someone who chose to start. You will simply have access to it earlier than someone who spawned far away. The fourth and final option is actually not a safe choice on its own. This spawn location is actually very dangerous and normally shouldn't be taken unless you know what you're getting into. The Necromancer Start spawns you in a Blackreach home that is filled with valuable loot for you to grab. Unfortunately, the exit is guarded by dangerous mid-game enemies. To make full use of the start, I've created a fast leveling video that will allow you to use the start to reach level 12 within minutes. I do not advise fast leveling for your first character as this can ruin the Lorerim experience. However, for those who are simply wanting to test the build or just skip the early game struggles, this method is available. I'd ask you to check my channel in order to find the fast leveling video if you intend to take advantage of this spawn choice. Moving back to our original topic, once you've selected your spawn point, you'll be able to play your character. However, there are still a few choices to be made. One of the first prompts you may receive is the token shop. If you do not get this prompt, it may be because you loaded a save file at the spawn hub or the mods were not fully loaded. You may need to exit to desktop and start a new game again, making sure you follow all the steps to ensure the token prompt. The token shop is completely optional, but offers you a selection of free gear in exchange for tokens. These tokens are only for this shop and have no use later in the game, so you are encouraged to spend them entirely. Though the choice of what to get is yours, I would highly advise an amulet of Debella, which increases speechcraft by 15 points. This can help you win persuasion checks and get better store prices in the early game. If you are playing a character who uses weapons with their magic, investing in a silver weapon or silver arrows can be beneficial in the long run. Before we move past the token shop topic, I would like to offer one word of warning for those who chose a player home start. By default, your character would start with the key to your new home in your inventory. However, accepting the token shop will delete your inventory in order to purchase a new, stronger inventory. This means that you will not have the key to your own home in your inventory. Luckily, most homes have spare keys on the table near your bed. However, certain homes, like the Tundra Homestead, spawn you outside. Without the key, you will be unable to unlock the door to your home and enter it for the first time. 2 fixes for this is to either 1. Enter your home immediately as you spawn before the token prompt, or 2. Simply use console commands to spawn a new key or unlock the door. After the token shop, the next prompt will be for a religion. This prompt will occur the moment your character is in an outdoor location. Since some spawn locations are outdoors, you may get this prompt immediately. Your starting choices of religion is decided based on the race you selected at the start of the game. Lorerim has many religions beyond the choices you are given. Since this lesson will not cover religion, I included a link to the mod page in the description. This will allow you to make a sound judgment on your starting religion as well as plan for future ones. Now that we have covered the token shop and religion, our next selection is birth sign and can be done using the magic menu. Hit tab and select the magic category. On the tabs, make sure you are on all tab so you can see all available magical choices. One of the choices you will see is birth sign. Select this option and use the power activation key, which is the letter Z for zebra by default. Because the previous lesson has covered the 4 mage birth signs, I will leave the choice in your hands. The only thing to remember, however, is that this decision is permanent. After your birth sign selection, There is one more selection menu, and that is traits. Much like with Bird Sign, enter the magic menu and find the trait option. You will then use your power activation key to launch the selection menu. Here you have the option of selecting traits that will customize your character. These traits are optional, and you can play the game without any traits if you wish. Each trait is a double-edged sword that offers you some benefits in one expertise with a penalty in another. This is ultimately your choice and should be chosen based on what build you decide to run. Of course, as you explore Lorerim, you'll quickly collect a growing number of weapons, spells, staves, and wands. Unfortunately, due to the difficulty and randomness of Lorerim, sometimes you may need to switch these items and spells on the fly. And so this next topic is dedicated to make you a mage that can quickly change their loadout and adapt to any situation. Let us start this topic with the humble favorite menu. The favorite menu was a method of choice for vanilla Skyrim users. It allowed a player to create a new menu that contained hand-selected spells and gear. This was a great way to show a condensed list of items that you may need frequently without searching for it in your full inventory. To mark an item as your favorite, first open either your inventory or your magic menu. Place your mouse over the desired item or spell to highlight it, and then press the letter F by default. You'll notice a star mark appear on the item name to indicate that you have placed it in your favorites. You can do this with many things such as weapons, armor, spells, and powers. Once you have finished marking your favorites, by default, you can press Q during the normal gameplay to bring up the favorite menu. You can then select the item or spell with the left or right mouse buttons, depending on which hand you wish to place it in. Now that we have covered favorites, let's build on this knowledge by introducing hotkeys. Hotkeys are a great way to quickly select an item in your favorite list without having to do so manually using the favorite menu. The default hotkeys are the row of numbers ranging from 1 to 0 just above the letters on your keyboard. In order to hotkey an item, first highlight it in the favorite menu and then press a number to assign to it. The signed number will be shown next to your choice, confirming that it has been hotkeyed. Be warned that you can only hotkey a single number to a single selection. During normal gameplay, pressing the number will place that item or spell into your hands. When it comes to spells and shields, it will usually target your left hand. In the case of spells, pressing the hotkey once will first place it into your left hand, and pressing it a second time will put it into your right hand. This can be useful if you're trying to equip the same spell in both hands for dual casting. This hotkey setup is great for certain builds like sword and board paladins. They can hotkey their shield and healing spell, allowing them to switch between the two on the fly. Hotkeys can also be assigned to weapon enchantment spells and shouts. However, because these items are powers, they function a bit differently when hotkeyed. Normally, a power is equipped in the magic menu, and then you press the power activation key, which is the letter Z, in order to use it. However, when you hotkey a power, pressing the hotkey not only equips the power, but uses it immediately. For example, if you hotkey a weapon enchantment to number 1, once you draw your weapon and press number 1 key, the enchantment will be casted immediately on your weapon. This is because, unlike weapons and spells, powers do not need to be equipped, and therefore having to equip them and then use a separate key to activate them becomes tedious. Using this hotkey instacast A Dragonborn can easily arm 10 shouts and cast whichever one they want on the fly as long as they remember which shout is linked to which number. Now, having favorites and hotkeys is nice, but a handful of hotkeys isn't going to help the Archmage player who decided they want to master every spell school in the game. This player has more spells than books in the Arcanium, and they intend to use every single one of them. For these players, we have the Wheeler, or what I like to call the G Wheel. The G Wheel is a way to drastically increase the number of available spells at your fingertips. I will also remind you that I've included a Wheeler reference in the description. So, how does the G Wheel work? Well, for starters, the G Wheel is completely independent from favorites and hotkeys, so avoid bringing concepts from one into the other. The G Wheel, as its name implies, is a wheel of hotkeys that can be called upon by pressing and holding the letter G by default. The G Wheel has two modes, the default mode and the edit mode. The default mode is the one you call upon during normal gameplay. If you hold the G button down, you'll notice the Wheeler menu appear with 4 empty slots by default. In order to put spells and other items in these slots, we need to open it in edit mode. This can be done with both inventory and magic. When the magic menu or inventory is open, you can hold the G key to bring up the Wheeler in its edit state. In this state, you can make edits to it, such as adding or removing spells. Let's start by adding a spell to our wheel. First, hover your mouse to highlight a spell you wish to add. Then, hold G to activate the Wheeler in its edit state. Next, left-click a slot to assign the spell into it. You can now release the G key and exit to the magic menu. Now, during normal gameplay, you can hold the G key to bring the Wheeler in its default mode and use the left and right mouse buttons to assign the spell in whichever hand you want. When activating the default state of the Wheeler, you'll notice that the time slows down. This is a great way to switch spells quickly in the hectic combat situation without having to pause the game. You'll be happy to know that you can also add multiple spells to a single slot if you wish. You can switch between these collection of spells by using the mouse wheel. This is useful if you want to put a collection of all your fire spells in one slot and ice spells in another slot. Now, what happens if you wish to remove a spell from the wheel? Well, this can be done by once again opening the Wheeler in the edit mode. Once there, move your mouse over the spell you wish to remove and right-click the slot to remove it. If you have multiple spells in the same slot, use the mouse wheel to rotate to the spell you wish to remove before right-clicking. Considering the amount of spells you have available to you, chances are you'll want more slots to put them in. During edit mode, you can press the M key, and that is M for Mike, to add more slots to the wheel. Alternatively, if you added too many slots, you can right click any empty ones to remove them. Now that you are enjoying the G wheel, I have even more good news for you. You can actually create multiple wheels that can be switched to on the fly. In order to do this, during edit mode, you can press the N key, and that is N for Nancy, to add more wheels. These new wheels behave the same way, and you can add and remove spells and slots. You can also press the E key, and that is E for Edwards, to switch between the wheels. This is a great way to create loadouts for scenarios. For example, a Spellblade character may create one wheel for stealth mode, where they use illusion spells, and a second wheel for combat mode, where they use destruction spells. This will allow them to immediately be combat ready if they are detected while sneaking around a bandit camp. If you've accidentally added more wheels than you wish to use, you can enter edit mode and right click all the slots to make the wheel empty. Then right click the empty wheel to remove it. One final note when it comes to the G wheel is that the mod is a bit unstable when it comes to slotting potions. Avoid slotting potions in the G wheel as it may lead to crashes. And that concludes the segment about the G wheel. Before we end this lesson, there is one last important topic I wish to cover in regards to your brand new mage character. This would be proper saving and loading procedures. Though this topic is not exactly related to magic, it is still important knowledge for all players who are using a mod list of this caliber. Lorerim is an extremely stable mod list considering the vast number of mods being used. However, plenty of players have mentioned they started crashing while playing Lorerim, and these are not occasional once in a blue moon crashes, but very frequent crashes that can be completely random. This can be suddenly crashing repeatedly when entering a new location or when casting spells. 99% of the time, these crashes are not related to the mod list itself, but a corrupted save file from not following the rules that were provided with this mod list. The rules in question are ones related to saving and loading the game properly. Unfortunately, I'm not tech savvy enough to explain what goes on behind the pixels. The easiest way for me to explain it is that mods activate under certain triggers, and if you were to save the game while the mods are activating, then you essentially created an instance where the mod isn't loaded. This can cause complications down the road if it stacks upon itself, eventually creating a corrupted save file. No one wants to lose a character they spent many hours playing to a corrupted save file, so I will give you a quick rundown on the rules. To prevent a corrupted save file, these are the following things you should never do. Never save your game during combat. Never save during heavily scripted sequences such as from Quest. Never save immediately after entering a new cell or location. This can be a dungeon or just walking outside into the overworld. Give it a few seconds. Never save in quick successions. Give it at least a minute or two between saves. Never load a save file or create a new character from an ongoing game session. Always exit the game to desktop and relaunch Lorerim. A few extra minutes of waiting can save you many hours of progress from a lost save file. There is another thing to consider when dealing with loading save files: no respawn zones. In Skyrim, certain quests force you into locations you cannot leave unless certain conditions are met. However, in Lorerim, your character doesn't die but goes unconscious and returns to the last bed location or Whiterun Temple. To prevent problems from leaving the area, Lorerim made these quest locations no respawn zones. Rather than returning to your last bed, you will actually die and reload to your last save. Because this technique counts as a reload during an ongoing session, it is highly advised that you restart Lorerim from the desktop and load the game manually. Two examples of these no respawn zones are Dim Hollow Cave and the Dalmor Embassy. There is one more bonus scenario that is questionable when it comes to save file problems. Because this matter is debatable, unlike the ones mentioned before, I will mention it but not confirm whether it is true or false. This scenario is save files that have a very high save count. Every time you save your game, the save counter for your file increases by 1. Some players argue if your save file reaches very high numbers, that save file will be cooked. However, there are also many players who have save files with high counts that are having no issues. Though I leave this decision in your hands, I will, however, give you a strategy in keeping your numbers low. When you sleep at a campfire or bed, Lorerim will save your game in a form of autosave. These autosaves do not increase the save number, and you can easily load your game from one of them. A good way to keep your save count low is to use this autosave feature while playing your game and only make a hard file save when making crucial decisions, or if you plan to stop playing for the day and prefer a hard save. And this concludes Lesson 3 of the Mage Guide series. If you wish to learn more, please stay tuned for future lessons. If you enjoyed this video, please consider a like and subscribe, as this will help the channel grow. This is Mike Zodia. Have a good one.